Have you ever just stood outside, looked up at the night sky, and felt completely awestruck by the sheer scale of it all? The vastness of the cosmos has always invited us to ponder our place within it. I mean, we measure our own lives in years, maybe decades if we're lucky, but how does the universe measure time? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a profound ancient framework that maps out not just the turning of the stars, but the actual evolution and the decline of human consciousness. Okay, let's dive right into this. In the modern Western world, we have this tendency to view history as a straight line, right? We see this steady progression from primitive beginnings all the way to some supposedly highly advanced future. But the ancient Vedic texts offer a radically different vision. They propose that time, nature, and even human civilization actually move in recurring patterns. So time isn't this relentless march forward to a final endpoint. It's more like a wheel, an eternal spinning wheel. To really wrap our heads around the scale of this wheel, we have to look at a truly massive number, 4,320,000. In Vedic cosmology, this number represents the total human years in a single Mahayuga. Think of a Mahayuga as one complete cycle of cosmic time. And honestly, the most incredible part? This vast expanse of time, which feels completely unfathomable to us, is literally just a tiny fraction of the lifespan of the universe.
Now, what's really interesting about this overarching framework is how the cycle is structurally broken down. This wheel of time, or the Kala Chakra, is divided into 4 distinct epochs, which are called Yugas. But here's the catch. They aren't equal in length at all. They follow a very precise, proportional ratio of 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. Basically, as we move through the cycle, each subsequent age gets progressively shorter, and that shorter duration reflects a rapid acceleration of time, alongside a gradual overall decline in the spiritual and moral state of humanity.
But what's actually driving this whole cycle? Well, it's not just some abstract philosophical concept, it's actually deeply tied to an astronomical perspective. The idea is that as our solar system journeys through the galaxy, it takes roughly 25,920 years to complete one massive orbit around a much larger star system, sometimes referred to as a supersun. When our solar system is at its closest proximity to this immense source of energy, human consciousness and capability hit their absolute peak. But as we orbit furthest away into the cold depths of space, we fall to the lowest possible baseline of human awareness.
So that brings us to the very first epoch, the absolute radiant high point of the cycle. Epoch 1, Satya Yuga, the golden age of truth. In this incredibly serene era, human minds were at their absolute peak capability. Because the planetary etheric sphere was so close to that cosmic center, people were profoundly connected. We're talking about communicating effortlessly without even needing to speak. To illustrate the moral foundation of this time, the Vedic texts use this powerful metaphor of the Dharma bowl, which represents universal law. In Satya Yuga, this majestic bowl stands firmly and perfectly balanced on all 4 legs. Humanity is 100% aligned with truth, purity, and harmony. It's essentially an idyllic society, completely free of sorrow, disease, and the destructive forces of the human ego.
And this brilliantly illustrates the divine presence during that golden era. It's described that the Supreme Lord takes foundational forms to protect and guide early creation. For instance, avatars like Matsya, the fish, and Kurma, the tortoise. These divine incarnations mark the very dawn of creation and the establishment of profound, unwavering righteousness on earth.
But, the eternal wheel has to keep turning. So we transition into Epoch 2, Treta Yuga, the Silver Age of Duty. As we move slightly further away in our cosmic orbit, that effortless, pure energy of the Golden Age begins a very subtle decline. The climate starts to shift, distinct seasons actually form, and humanity has to start building its first shelters. Now think back to the Dharma bowl. Virtue has declined by a quarter, and the bull is now standing on only 3 legs. The leg of austerity, or tapas, has been lost. What this means is that personal desire and ego have firmly entered the picture. Because that spontaneous, pure internal connection is fading away, humanity now requires formal rituals, strict duties, and elaborate fire sacrifices just to maintain their spiritual alignment. Continuing our descent through the cosmos, we arrive at Epoch 3, Dvapara Yuga, the Bronze Age of duality. Let's move along and see how this builds, because the overall tone of the world has now become much denser, heavier, and far more complex. The Dharma bull is precariously balancing on just two legs at this point. Virtue and sin are divided equally into a 50-50 split. The leg of purity, or shaucha, is totally lost, and with purity gone, a highly competitive, pleasure-seeking nature takes a really firm hold on humanity. Society becomes highly structured, populations grow incredibly focused on wealth and trade, and disease becomes widespread. Values aren't absolute anymore. They shift into these complicated shades of gray.
All of this moral ambiguity, growing ambition, and deep duality eventually culminates in monumental conflicts. The most famous of these, of course, is depicted in the great epic, the Mahabharata. It was also during this really tense age that human memory and mental focus were rapidly weakening. Because humanity could literally no longer hold vast amounts of knowledge in their minds, the great sage Vyasadeva actually had to divide the ancient unified Vedas into 4 distinct parts, just so the wisdom wouldn't be lost entirely.
And then, the wheel plunges into the deepest, furthest part of its orbit. Epoch 4, Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of materialism.
So the crucial point here is that even though it is proportionally the shortest of the yugas, experientially it is the most chaotic, fast-paced, and dense epoch of the entire cycle. Society is largely dominated by materialism, hypocrisy, and greed. The Dharma bull, it's now balancing on only one single leg, truthfulness, or Satya. And the crazy part is, even this final pillar is constantly under attack by deceit and corruption. It's an age where deep truth is often hidden, and human physical strength and lifespans are just a fraction of what they used to be. To truly understand how humanity adapts through these shifting ages, we really need to look at this breakdown. The Vedic tradition is incredibly pragmatic. It completely recognizes that as our mental and physical capacity declines, our spiritual practices absolutely have to change to remain effective. In the pure Satya Yuga, people had the focus to literally meditate for thousands of years. In Treta, it was all about complex fire sacrifices. In Dvapara, elaborate temple worship. But in the distracted, chaotic Kali Yuga, where deep focus is pretty much shattered, the recommended path becomes beautifully accessible. It shifts to simple acts of charity and the congregational chanting or glorifying of divine names.
All right, this brings us to our final section, the endless cosmic cycle, and a return to the light.
It is so easy to look at the Kali Yuga with total despair, right? But remember, this is a philosophy of cosmic seasons. Kali Yuga isn't some apocalyptic endpoint where everything just stops. It's simply a progressive transition. Ancient texts actually prophesy that as this dark age concludes and the solar system begins its return journey toward the grand center, a divine avatar named Kalki will appear. His whole purpose is to clear the accumulated darkness, re-establish universal law, and initiate the radiant dawn of a brand new Satya Yuga. The great cycle resets and the light returns.
And get this, here is a truly surprising and fascinating twist. While Kali Yuga is undeniably described as an age of darkness and strife, the Bhagavata Purana notes a profound ambivalence. Apparently, many enlightened sages from previous, far purer ages actually regretted not being born in the Kali Yuga. I mean, no way, right? Why would they want that? Because the sheer density and immense difficulty of this age offer a completely unique advantage. The intense friction of the Iron Age allows for highly accelerated spiritual compensations. What took thousands of years of perfect meditation in the Golden Age can actually be achieved in a single, sincere lifetime today through simple devotion and charity.
Ultimately, we are all passengers on this vast astronomical journey, experiencing a very specific season of cosmic time. The wisdom of the Yugas teaches us that while the external world may be chaotic, complex, and really challenging at times, the path to self-realization is never actually closed. It simply adapts to meet us exactly where we are. So I'll leave you with this thought to ponder. As the grand wheel of the Kala Chakra continues its eternal turn, how will you use the unique, highly accelerated opportunities of the present age to realize your own spiritual potential?